Hi, and welcome back to Blue's Garden. This is onions from seed starting, potting them up, and then eventually transplanting them outside. These are my onions. Back around the beginning of February, I planted 5 or so different varieties of bulbing onion, 2 different bunching onion, some leeks, and some shallots. I have done this every year. I've added, first couple of years was just 2 or 3 kinds of onions, added more bulbing onion types, and then added shallots and leeks this year. Last year I did the bunching onions. The year before I did the bunching onions. So this is onions from seeds to transplanting them outside. Typically harvest them in the summertime, dehydrate some in the fall. I save and string up the bulbs. I use the bunching onion, the green onion, dry them, dehydrate them. I make some onion powder. So let's take a look at onions. So I planted seeds for my onions somewhere around the beginning of February. I planted Zabroon shallots, Alto leeks, Utah sweet yellow, Pompeii white, white sweet Spanish, red Weathersfield, and then 2 types of bunching, Tokyo long white and red beard bunching. Just a quick recap. I'm not going to show you everything, but what I do is a lot of people call it overseeding, where you put a lot more seeds in than you want in any one given container, and you really just put a ton of seeds in there. You're guaranteed to get good germination that way, and as long as you keep them wet and moist and some, decent heat underneath the heat mat, you'll get decent germination. For me, I'll show you what I do next. After that, it's basically, once you get some decent size out of these, they're about 1 inch, the containers deep, then it's time for me to pot them up. And that is really just taking the whole thing and putting it in a much deeper container to get a much better root system. The whole thing. I don't separate each individual seed out yet. Foreshadowing. Get these guys into a much deeper pot. So these pots are about 3-4 inches deep that they're going to go into. Try and get the whole thing out. It's about an inch and a half deep now. And try and get the whole thing out. For me, I actually do break this into 2 pieces. Just makes it easier to get it into these deeper pots. Label everything so you don't lose track of what's where. Get them all into the much deeper pots. Get a much better root system. Pot them up once. Probably at the 4-week mark or something like that. 4 or 5 weeks, something. Make sure you've got some soil below. Get the whole thing out into the pot. Get them all tucked in nice. Don't worry so much about separating anything out now. And then the bunching onion, same thing. And now let's take a look at, after we've got them ready to go, let's take a look at onions going outside. I'm going to transplant the onions outside. Thing about this overseeding method is it works with onions because they're not a tangled nightmare. Getting them separated is a fairly easy thing. So the first thing I do is clear out the old straw mulch from the old beds. I'm going to take all of this old straw. I'm actually going to save that straw mulch. I'm going to use that in either cut it up a little and get it into the compost bin, or I also grow potato in a mix of straw and some of last year's soil. So for now, big container of water, about the same 3 or 4 inches deep, and the onions. This first batch is my red Weathersfield. Take the whole 4-inch deep pot, 3-4 inch deep pot. I split it in half, just makes it easier for now. Put that whole thing in the water. Give it a little shake to get the excess stirred off. When you get the roots soaking in the water, it makes it really easy to separate them out. Now I use just a dowel, easy enough to separate out when you have the dowel. I make a nice deep hole. The onion has a fairly straight root, and it goes, tap it down, give it some nice soil to root contact. No airspace. You don't want the roots to die because of air pruning. So, and then swish all your onion around in there. Get the soil loose off so you can separate the individual onions out. Now I'm going to be selective in that I'm taking what I look to see the nicest, longest, healthiest looking roots. If it's got one or two little tiny roots and they're really short, it's probably not going to survive as well, or certainly not going to bulb up well. So for me, make lots of holes, in it goes, in the root goes, and get all of the red Weathersfield out there. Hole, onion, in, keep going, just keep repeat, reverse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Hole, push the root down. I like to, when you've got your onion seed, make sure that you're not burying it really deep. Try and get the top of where you'll see on the root, looks like the top of where the bulb will be. Try and get that back up close to surface level. You don't want to bury that down deep. You want that to be at the same root level. Similar to when you're transplanting or moving some bulbs in, you don't want the dahlia bulb, you don't want to bury that too deep. So that's the red Weathersfield. A couple of rows of those, maybe about 24 of those in, and I do about 3-4 inches of space left to right, left top to bottom. And then next thing I'll do is do a little of fresh mulch, new fresh mulch garden straw I use that both suppresses weeds and also keeps the ground moist so that everything has a chance to stay wet and not dry out. That's the whole purpose of mulch. Me using the straw is to keep the soil wet and suppress weeds. Now these are bunching onion. Red beard bunching is this one, and you can do in a couple or 2 or 3 next to each other. I don't mind having them close together. They're bunching onion. They're going to grow like that. So I have these everywhere. I just take a couple of extra. Whenever I get extra bunching onion, I have some grown from last fall, but I do the same thing with the white bunching onion. Just put them in Tokyo long white bunching onion. Just put them in the grow bag, and I will separate that out, and I'll separate it out into little clumps, and I don't mind putting the clumps together. And so you can sort of see me there resting it in the water. I don't mind putting clumps of them in. Grow them as clumps. They are bunches. Not a problem putting bunching onions in as bunches of onion. Next up, my shallots. Now that big cluster is Tokyo long white that I overwintered, and if you can just barely see the brown tops, that'll be where the onions will go to seed. Now I'm going to collect the seed from that. So I'm going to do the same thing with shallots. Take the big 4-inch pot, put it in water. Right now I'm separating out the best, and then I will put my shallots off to the side here. Just in the lower right corner, you can see that newly strawed where the red Weathersfield were, a big bulbing red onion. And then the shallots will go up against the left side there, right underneath my hand. Just put a bunch of shallots in. These are all from the same allium family, leeks, onions, shallots, all very similar. Got the shallots in. I will do the same with the dibbler or the dowel. Make a hole, layer them in deep. These are, I got them labeled at the end. I can't remember as I'm talking through it. I believe these are Utah yellow. And again, I got a couple of dozen, maybe or so, of the Utah yellow. And I'm doing those across, so from your point of view, left to right. And you can see them making the holes, and that'll be across. And this lower corner, those are going to be, well, up here. Sorry, these are still going with the Utah yellow. It's a yellow sweet Spanish, yellow sweet onion. A couple dozen of those. Off to the left is garlic, and then this in the red square is red Weathersfield. This is the Utah yellow. This are the Zebrun shallot. Small amount of white sweet Spanish. This big open space, I didn't put anything in yet, but will be Pompeii white, which is a smaller cooking onion. Onions, quite a lot. I cook with them often. That Pompeii white is something that I cook. It's a smaller cooking onion. It's great in stews, roasts. I like the red onion. I use that in my orzo spinach salad with feta. Dehydrated onion, when I make powder out of it, it's great for soups and stews in the middle of January and February. Onion powder, I'll cook with that. I'll use the dehydrated green onion, chop that up and dehydrate them. Shake some of that out when I'm making a soup or a stew sometime. It's great to put that into sauces in the middle of winter, pasta sauces or something. So, onions, I am trying to get them so that I am self-sufficient all year round. I need more onions in the soil than I got this year. I will end up buying some onions sometime around March or April, and I won't get new onion until I won't harvest until sometime in July. So I'm not quite self-sufficient on my onions yet. So, onions, seed to soil. I am thrilled with the 5 that I have, 5 varieties that I have. Thrilled with the 2 bunching onions, the shallots and leeks. Leeks are mostly new. I only grew 1 or 2 decent stalks last year, so I've got a decent amount in the soil this year, so that'll be an addition for me. I'm getting there. Every year, a little bit more planted in the garden. Hopefully, at some point, I'll be in good shape and a little more self-sufficient. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're stuck with me this far, I appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. That helps me grow, and that helps you grow. Thank you very much.